where we are. Uh, Last night between streams, ended up going in and refactoring the uh, the game object. Well, the game objects in the main scene. It's now stored in a vector instead of a hash map. And I did that because we can now control the order in which they're going to get drawn. And that's going to be the order in which we put them in here. The order that they update isn't too important right now for what we have. If that becomes important, there's some things we can do. However, because we only have like one player interacting with the world, it should be fine for this game. And it does mean that we now have to query for the user to basically get them by type. And I realized as I was doing this that it doesn't really make sense to have the main scene be concerned with how to find the user inside of the vector. So I created an issue that we can work on later to basically extract out the game objects from a vector. Like, they'll still be in a vector, but probably create a struct that wraps around that vector, game objects, that would then include these methods as part of it. So like, get the first game object by type. And so like, methods to like reach in and grab those. Also, that struct would then be usable in all of my different projects that I do. So I think that'll be nice for future projects. And we'll definitely want to sort of like add that into whatever template we're going to use next time. But until then, what this has allowed me to do is get to... It should look very, very similar to what we have last time, except now the player is always displayed on top. And we can move around. Okay, so this is all fine and dandy. The next thing we want to do is create the trees. So we actually have trees displaying right now. They're just behind everything. So it's not optimal. So let's first rip out all the trees that we have. So that's under, in main scene, we're telling the map to draw. We're slowly removing things from the map. Okay, so map draw. So if we come here, we're telling the tree trunks to draw. So if I remove you from there, because we're going to add the tree trunks into the background game object. I mean, we might even we'll probably just give them their own game object on their own. And they'll probably need their own draw system, maybe, possibly. Yeah, because they're going to be shifting around slightly as we move pages. Okay, so we have that. At the end of this, I'm even thinking we might not even have a map anymore. Or at least the map may not... The map's definitely not going to do nearly as much as it is right now by the time we're done refactoring. All right, T is ready. Okay, so if we don't have trees there, we don't also need to store the tree trunks in here, so we can remove view, remove the tree trunks. We can also go ahead and just remove the foliage because we have, we're going to be creating that probably as an image too and use that. And let's see. Okay, so foliage gets removed from here. The pits are fine for right now. Draw. We're not going to draw the foliage. Okay, so we have move right. Right now, like, there's so little that it's doing. I mean, with the little that it's doing, I'm kind of feeling almost that we just not even draw the map. Like if we go back into main scene, I'm wondering, what if we don't store a map? We don't take in a map. Now we're probably gonna want a map to know what to draw, but the config has that information too. All right, I'm not gonna go that far yet. I'm gonna keep the map in here, but I'm just not gonna tell the map to draw. Where are you? Okay. Map, you don't draw anymore. Okay, so everything should still work. And we still get all of that. Now, if we move to the next scene, we're not going to see any kind of pit, but we wouldn't before anyways because it was behind everything. However, when we do create the pit, that's going to be added into the game object. Okay. It does make me think that like game objects can be its own thing, because then all of these functions for like creating the player, creating the trees, creating all of that stuff could probably be refactored into a game object struct as well. But all right, so next up, we want to create our tree. And we want to create it as an image, so we don't have, 4 meshes per tree. And then we're drawing 7 of those, so 7 times 4? That's way too much. What is that, 28? I think it's like 28 meshes drawn out, which is just... this computer can handle it. The poor Raspberry Pi cannot even come close to handling that. Okay, so let's go... Where's my Steam? And find a sprite. There you are. And we're gonna create a brand new... how big do we want this to be? So if we have the entire the game be 1920 by 1080, and let me open this again, we can sort of eyeball this. We can calculate out exactly where this spot is, so we can figure out how tall this is, and we pretty much want like half of this height, just roughly, because we're gonna have the canopy coming down like that. So at the top most of this, it's maybe a little bit more than half of the height would be good for us. And that would allow us to, okay, so let's calculate where this is, and then we'll take like 3/4 of this just to be safe. All right. So we can go into our config.json. And we can also open up our calculator. Can I still move? Yes. Okay, so we're going to start with the entire resolution height, which is 1920x by 1080y. And we're going to start subtracting. So first of all, we have our bedrock height, that's 15. Then we have the cave. You're 200. So minus 200. Hold on. Uh, 1080 minus 15 minus 200. Okay. 1080. Fully erase. Clear. I don't want any. 1080 minus 15 minus 200. Okay. All right, that's more appropriate. Okay, so that's the cave. Then we have the ground, and that's 50. So minus 50. And then we have the surface. Okay, that is 150. Okay, so 665. And if we multiply this by 0.3, Nine, 199.5. Oh, I think what I probably want to do is 665 minus 199.5. Let's do 665 minus 199.5. Okay, 465.5. We could just go to 465. We could even just do 450. So width-wise, I don't think we really need the tree to be that wide. Probably more than we can do like 30. Wait, how wide is our tree here? We actually have this, don't we? Yeah, okay. Tree trunk, color, height, width. Oh, okay. Never mind. We had already calculated this. Okay, and you can all go here. So color, height, width. Count goes there. Oh, and okay, so we're not going to care about the branches anymore. So the tree branch width is going to be out. The tree branch rotation is going to be out because we're not creating these anymore. The height, we don't care about that. The color, we're gonna handle that ourselves too. Have you tried just combining the meshes? How do I combine the meshes? To combine the meshes, like, I would just need to do a single mesh, right? Also, good morning, Utsby. Like, yeah, I guess I'm curious about... It's a builder pattern, isn't it? You just add them all in and then call build. Does that create a single? I guess that would create a single mesh. Yeah, we could try that. We can try that. Let's do... Well, I can't duplicate it. Like with the sprite batch. That'd be the only negative, is that I can only create... I have to call draw multiple times still. But it certainly wouldn't be as bad. It would reduce it from 28 to like 4 or 7, I guess. if we take a look at this and us creating it, yeah, we'd be creating these like rectangles, and so we could put them up on top here. And this would work for this, but then I wouldn't be able to sprite batch them. Because sprite batch only with GGZ only works with images. So you can combine all the trees for the background into one mesh. Oh yeah, so like just to recreate them over and over again. It's like however many we have. And then on the update loop, we can regenerate that one mesh. Yeah, we could. That's definitely possible. We would want to do this as a new game object. So how would I end up creating this? Probably the draw system for it. Yeah, if the trees are in one mesh, then it is a batch. So essentially create our own batch. Yeah, you're correct there. So here, let's say if I create my own draw system for this. Let's do a tree draw system. Okay, so what would a tree draw system look like? When we create it, we need to store that mesh. Which unfortunately does mean that we need to pass in the config in order to do that. The config and the context, because creating the mesh, you know, that's a thing. I guess like we could have images also store the meshes too. But because this is so like let's see, would that make sense to put it in images? If I put that in images, then I could tell the main scene to update the trees in the images. Okay, so maybe images could become like mesh assets or something like that, or like the drawables that like the assets. I guess that's what it would be. It would be the assets. So let's go into images. I'm not going to rename it right now. But when we create this new, we're going to want to have a pub trees, and you would be a mesh. Which means that in new here, we'd want to create the mesh for this. So I'm going to go ahead and create a function to create the trees. So that way it's just isolated on its own. Okay, so function create trees. Right, and we can call this multiple times to sort of like recreate these trees. This won't take self in. This will just, well, we'll need to take in the context and the config. And we'll return a game result with a mesh in a set inside. Okay. For this, also trees is self create trees, pass in context and config, and question mark that. All right, so if I wanted to create the trees, and in our config, we have all of this information here. We know the full width of the arena, and we know the number of trees that we really care about. So we need to create, I guess, like, let's just focus on creating the trunks first. Trunk wise, that's going to be just rectangles that are on the ground like that. Okay, so let's we'll do a mesh builder. So we're going to return mesh builder. We're going to put a rectangle in it. So I'm going to do this manually first, and then we can do the loop through. Actually, you know what we can probably do is store this in a variable. So let mute mesh equals, okay. Then we're going to return mesh.build and the context. Okay, so then in here, we can start doing things like adding a rectangle for the tree. So let's add one rectangle now. So mesh.rectangle draw mode fill. Bounds is a rect new. So we have to know exactly where to put this here. So the X position, if I put this in, I guess not the center. Let's start at like the left edge of the screen. So 0.0. The Y would be, how far down it's gonna go. So we have to calculate how high the tree is. Okay, so we'll have to do all those fun calculations where it's config.resolution y minus config.bedrock height config. Cape height, then ground height, config, okay, so then surface height, then tree trunk height. Okay, and then our width. Trunk width. Trunk height. Okay. Then we have our color. It's config.trunk color. Now this returns a builder, doesn't it? So it doesn't actually mutate. What we want to do is, I guess, like constantly be shadowing this. So, or we can, yeah, we're gonna do mesh equals mesh.rectangle like this, and then we'll do the build at the very end. What are you upset about? What did I miss? Mismatch types, expected struct, mesh builder. Found mutable reference to mesh builder. Oh, I have to own it? Dereference it? Oh, so do I have to do this all in one go? Let's try shadowing it. Okay, apparently we need to shadow it. I'm happy with that. Okay, so then I did. Yeah, I did those calculations. Yeah, and we'll go grab that. Did I delete the tree trunks already? I don't think I did. It was, let's see, not scenes, not draw systems. Cause like that's empty right now. Oh wait, no, tree trunks right here. Yeah. This is for creating these. So we have our trunk mesh. Our space between trees. Now these are pushing new trunk positions. So then how we're going to combine them together. I'm gonna come back to this. I want to make sure that this is working first. And then, okay, so that creates the trees. We return the game result with the mesh. We get that, we store in the trees. Then, in our draw system, so that's in the mesh. That means that this draw system is going to be very simple. All it has to do is reach into the trees and draw that out. So, I don't even know if we need like a full test for this. So we'll do obstruct to draw system. Do we even need to store anything here? I don't know if we do. I'll sort of like leave it like that just in case we want to in the future. Implement tree draw system. Okay, so implement draw system. Tree draw system. And so here's where we can just draw out those trees. So graphics, draw context, reference to images.trees, and draw param, new, and leave that as default. Okay. So then that should be fine. We'll go into the main scene and create the trees here. So this can actually be a function create trees. You don't take anything in. Oh yeah, you'll need the config. But you shouldn't need the images. Because like the draw system isn't relying upon that. So okay, so create trees, we'll need the config. You're gonna return a game object. What are you all returning? You're all returning a result game object game. We want this. And then we're going to call game object builder new. Okay, so it needs a location. For these trees, they're just going to be 2 new 0.0 0.0. So top left. That's going to, because they're gonna put, they know where their position is in the world already. Okay, so we give them the location, we give them the width. Again, the width, we really don't need a width for this. It's just drawing in a background. So, I mean, potentially another thing that we can make a none. For right now, we can give this a just the config dot resolution x. Like it's the entire width of the arena is like how wide the trees go. What else do we need here? Location. We don't have a physics system. A width type. So width type, game object types. We're gonna want this to be 3. So we need to add that in. And then our draw system, which is going to be a box new. And this would be the free draw system new. Okay, which is pretty simple there, and I think we can build this. And we'll return the result of this, which should be fine. Send in new. We'll create our trees. Create trees. Pass it a reference to the config, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and dot expect. All right. And then we're going to push this above the background, after the background, but before the player. Okay, so we should be able to run this and see the one tree. Okay, so there's our one tree. So now I want to use the previous math that we had in the trees over here, tree trunks, to now create a whole bunch of them. So how did we end up doing this? We have RNG. Let's not worry about that right now. Okay, so we have our trunk mesh. So we have a single trunk mesh. Right, now it's being recreated multiple times. And then that draw is where we're spreading it out, I think. Oh no, because we have a tree trunk positions here, which trunk positions. I have to switch my offhand because Kitty Cat just came and lay down on the mouse pad. So we can turn on our cat cam too. Perfect. All right. So we have our trunk positions. We have okay. So then we have you. We have our offset. Okay, which generates that. Okay, space between the trees plus the offset, config resolution Y. Okay. So this is figuring out where those the X and the Y's for all of these are gonna be. So if we use this as a reference, head back to images. Then I want okay, so we have our mesh. We're gonna want to loop through the number of trees and create that here. So that's where we're gonna create our loop here. So for count in now we have one dot config tree trunk count because I don't think we want to start. So we'll do the same thing. One dot config dot tree trunk count. Okay, so we have our offset here. I'm not gonna do that right now, which is this is the random number of how much we're gonna shift it by. But we're gonna get our X position and our Y. So X. Now I wonder, can I just copy you? So that gives us the X and a Y. That allows us to put the X and a Y inside of here. I'm not going to be able to shadow this anymore. Am I? Space between trees. Oh, we need to define that also. That space between trees equals... Okay, so we have that in here. You don't go in the loop. You go out of the loop. Offset, we'll worry about you in a little bit. Okay, so far you're not yelling at me about the mesh. Okay, so then we're going to replace this X and this Y with our X and Y up here. So you get replaced with X and Y. Makes you a little bit easier. Oh, I was missing. Okay, so we still need the width and a height. So the width is the config dot tree the trunk width config dot trunk height. Okay, that makes you happy. Then we have the config tree trunk color. Okay, so that spreads them around, space between. Okay, so what's our errors? You're all. Nobody should care about you. I'm gonna undo the changes I accidentally did. Where's my 2 errors? Is it in images here? The shortcut for like opening up this doesn't work for me. Oh, I missed a semicolon here. Third Trooper, hello. I'm going to lurk here. Awesome. Well, great to have you here. Hope the Pitfall clone works. I'm hoping so too. Thank you so much. All right, let's try running this and see how the trees look. Not super well. Did I not put them in? I thought I put them into the, let's see, in the main scene. Here's the trees, and they should be pushed down here, which will then make them loop through in the draw and draw that out. The draw system is drawing them. Oh, we saw the one tree draw. So that attempt to bring them all together didn't work. So it's back to images. Okay, kitty left. I can go back to my normal hand on mouse. Okay, so this is gonna have to be like that. But we're back to this not working. The mesh reference in a draw. Yeah, it does. So we have a problem here that I'm not allowed to shadow the mesh, and because it's a builder pattern, I can't do a loop through it for here. So what ends up happening is our mesh rectangle. Okay. I can't do this, even though it's mute mesh. I can't reassign it. Mesh that rectangle. And then you're yelling at me saying it found a mutable reference to a mesh when it needs a fully owned mesh. Can I clone this? No, okay, so immutable reference still. So I create a new mesh. What's interesting is that so what's interesting is that I can't make this mutable here. Rectangle returns a reference to a mute mesh builder. So yeah, it does return a mute self, which means that becomes a mute instead of an unowned mesh builder. I almost need to convert it from a mutable reference to not at this point, like the return result of a rectangle. So basically bring this in here. So we could try that. We can up here do mute here. Can I assign twice? Dereference to mesh? Yeah. And that's not mute anymore. Cannot borrow it as mutable because it's behind this reference. Oi. So that gives me ownership of it. Can I clone it here? Okay, I clone here. Can I like two owned it? Okay, that's what I could do. I could two owned it, which then puts it back into the mesh as the mesh builder. Okay. So that gives me that. Okay, so still no tree showing up. We then take this mesh. So mesh is defined out here. We add a rectangle in. There should be 7 of them. We then build and return a result of that, which goes into the trees. And then in the tree draw system, we draw out whatever is in this mesh. So this isn't working. Okay, so X is space between trees. You are the resolution X minus config tree count. Okay, so like figuring out what that is. We should at least see like 1 or 2 trees, right? So count. Okay, so loop through this. Figure out our X and Y for the tree. And we saw it before. That's why I did like the basic one first, is that we saw it draw out. We saw one draw out. So it's really this loop isn't actually giving us the mesh that we really want it to. So we give it our mesh. This mesh equals mesh dot rectangle. At the end of the rectangle, we 2-owned it. Say we don't do this in like one go. If I do like new mesh equals that. Then we can say mesh equals new mesh dot 2-owned. Will you be happier? I can't see how this would make it happier, but yeah, we still don't see a tree. Oh look here, wait, there's a tree over here. Oh, I didn't notice. Okay, so my math is way wrong. Space between trees. Let's config.resolutionx minus config.tree count. Is that really? Oh, I'm missing this divided. Oops. That's kind of important. Okay, well that all disappeared. All right, so let's actually look at our math. Okay, so our space between trees is config resolution X. So that's the full width. You shouldn't need to reassign with 2-owned. Yeah, I was out. This was the problem. I was just, yeah, we could just go back to this. 2-owned and just do mesh equals. And that will be happy if I have a dot. Okay. Okay, so we have space between the trees is the full resolution X minus we need to have this absolutely does need to have to happen first. So you need to be inside of parentheses. There we go. So here's all of our tree trunks. It was fine. I think you just need to remove the 2-owned line. Oh, I absolutely have to have that because it's returning a reference to it. So like if I remove the 2-owned line, it's gonna yell at me. Because if I do this, I can't actually assign mesh to the result of creating the triangle because it's a mutable reference as opposed to just a full owned. So to make this work, the line I had before, where I created like that separately, I mean that was really just still to do the 2-owned. Like I don't know how that will change it because if we have like that new mesh equals this, and then we do mesh equals new mesh, in a ref, you didn't need to reassign that. It was a ref to the original. This is yelling at me saying I can't do this because it's a mutable reference. Peyton Rules, hello! So unfortunately, because of this, because it's a mutable reference, I need to extract it out so that it becomes this type. Good morning, Stacking. Don't do that. You don't need that line. Well, I need to reassign it back into mesh at some point in time. Peyton Rules, is that a new emoji? Wait, that... It's also... Oh, you updated it. Oh, cool. Cool. I didn't realize that you could do that. Okay. So that... We have to assign you there, but I can't because... it's a mutable reference, no matter what I do, and it has to go back into mesh. So, like, at some point in time, it has to be two owned. The question is whether or not the builder returns a different ref or a mutated original. If it's the original, this will just work without the reassignment. I have no idea. But because it's returning a reference, a mutable reference to self. I guess like we can have start mesh and then because okay, I can't. I don't think I can like Can I do that? And then I don't need the dot two owned. Okay, that's what I could do. Is over here. That mute equals mutable reference to. Okay. I don't like that syntax. But okay, that works. All right, so that gives us that should still work just fine. Yep. Okay, so we have all of our trees. Now if we want to add in the branches, then to this exact same mesh, we're going to create another rectangle. We can't rotate it here. We're going to have to rotate it. We have to rotate it here. Oh, can it even be a rectangle then? I don't know if this can be a rectangle. Because I don't think I have... Rectangle just takes bounds. And so I can't actually rotate that at all. I'm going to have to create like a polyline based upon all of these. Okay, so if we do another mesh dot mesh equals mesh dot, I guess a polyline, not a polygon, polyline, then we can just give it the 4 points of where we want that to be. And that's probably what we're going to have to do. Okay, so draw mode fill. This will be, okay, so we have to get our points. So that points equals, it's going to be a straight up array of points, and we'll throw that in here. And then color is config dot tree trunk color. And oh, you return a game result, so you'll be a question mark there. All right, then we're gonna create a bunch of point 2 new. How do we know where to put these? We know the top left of the tree trunk is this X and the Y. So we know the X and the Y. So if I start with X and Y as the first dot, and then we move left and up by the width and height of the tree trunk branch. So then we'll have another one. Point 2 new. This one is gonna have to be X minus config dot tree. Let's see. Tree branch width. Y minus config dot branch height. Then, okay, so that goes up there. They want to move over a little bit. So that gives us like our start trunk there, then up a little bit, then over and up. That's the dot. Then I'm going to go up and over by like a tiny little bit. So another point. So this is gonna starting from this position. So really I can duplicate this line. But now I want to shift over to the right, probably by some arbitrary amount. Maybe even like the opposites of these. I don't know. If we just do plus, if this becomes like 5, and then this is, we want a little bit higher up. So like another minus 5. Then we come back down again. So finally another 0.2. And this is going to be our X plus probably the, okay, X plus the config dot tree trunk, the branch width, Y plus. Toggabit rating with a party of 83. Toggabit, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. Also, everybody who's coming in with the raid, welcome. Hello, hello. How are you all doing? Toggabit, how's your stream? Hello, Draco, 191, Fast XP, Panapuri. Toggabit, it was good today. No new confusing languages. Oh, awesome. I think that's good. I have myself actually set up. Layeth me? Is that how to pronounce it? It is on your stream. All right. Well, that's excellent then. So I have now actually set up so we can do a cargo run release mode for our Get the Streamer game. All right. So for those of you who are new here, before I go into like what we're doing, no OCaml today. Oh well, I guess like you can't get Toggabit to do everything that you want. We made a Get the Streamer game here that we run during when we get raided, and it's going to be a chance for you all to play against us. C Films, you're doing great, awesome. So far this is doing. We're having fun math problems trying to create a bunch of tree meshes, but this will be a good minor break for us. So I'm going to run this. You're going to be run commands in chat, like #fire, #sword, #snake, and then the column number to drop things on me, and I'm going to try to avoid you. While, of course, reading chat at the same time. It's all good fun. I hate the fact that you have any anti-captcha extension that solves captchas faster than you can manually. What? Oh, I accidentally jumped. Ah! One left. Oh, this is a bad run for me. Oh, gotta concentrate. No, I couldn't get it. I got trapped in a corner. Thank you everybody for participating and playing, and that was a lot of participators this time, but Toggabit with the 33 points, you won that round. See, what did I miss there? You try to stack overflows, Toggabit. That didn't work. All right, so what we're making today is we're trying to build a Toggabit, you're off to hang with the family. Have a great stream and a wonderful day to everyone. Thank you so much again for the raid, Toggabit, and have a great day yourself. All right, so we're trying to create the mesh for the tree branches that will display, and I think I can comment you out, and then you will. Yeah, no errors anymore. So we could run this. You'll see what I'm working on here. I want to add mesh branches onto this. So this is a single mesh that shows all these tree trunks. I want to now add in basically little rectangles there, a rectangle here, and a rectangle there. And these will be the branches for that. So I have a loop going through and creating all of these. And now what I want to do is, I have to do this as a polyline, unfortunately, as opposed to create more rectangles, because I'm trying to reduce the number of draw counts that I have. This computer, it can handle all of them, but on a Raspberry Pi, which is my target for this, it's a little bit weaker, and so it can't really handle all of the mesh draws that we're doing. So we want to turn this into a single mesh, and that's where the polyline comes in. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, so if we have X plus this, and then the Y is going to be the exact same thing. Maybe we could draw it out and read off the coordinates. Oh, use graph paper, virtual graph paper. Oh, that could be interesting. Yeah, let's take a look at that. That won't be nearly as entertaining as watching my first result and just results in weird craziness. Oh, what's the camera on the left? Oh, kitty cat left. So sometimes we have a cat that hangs out here. And Zilby left to go presumably hang out with my wife. So I will turn that off. Oh, cool. That we can come back and use this in a second. If I choose, oh, this would just be Y then. Stood up by a cat. He was here for a hot minute. Okay, so if we do this, 0.2 expected comma. There's a comma there. Oh, expected a second colon. Need to bring import 0.2. Okay, so then we have our points. Let's see if my first attempt at this even comes close to reality. I mean, not bad. We could definitely make that angled more to the left, but I'm not like terribly unhappy with this. So I want these to be a little bit farther to the left. But besides that, I think where this is coming from is not bad at all. Okay, so now if we go to this graph paper, okay, so I could draw like, oh, apparently I can't undo, erase everything. Basically, if we have our tree trunk and it's starting down here at 0, let's figure out our tree trunk is like something like this. I want something like that, and then another one like that, and then another one like that. Like that's going to be our tree trunk. So we actually want you to start a little bit down below. So if our starting coordinate is 0, 0, essentially here. You become +1 on the Y. Okay, so our X starts with there, and then +1 on the Y. Then we go out a bit. It's out by the length of this. So that's minus the tree branch width. It's actually the height that we care about here. So this is the branch height that we go, and then up the width. So minus x minus width. Then we go over by the width. So that's still, let's see, take this position and subtract almost the same amount, but plus this little bit here. And that should be the same as one of these. Which is going to be our tree branch width. Okay. So our x is minus the height. So branch height plus config dot branch width. And then the y is going to be this same one. So y minus tree branch width. Essentially, we really wanted this both to be tree branch. Okay, so I want you to tree branch height on both of these. So that way you come out here, so tree branch height out, tree branch height out. And that's this point. Then we do tree branch height plus the width. Tree branch height minus config dot tree branch width. So that brings us up to here. And then back down again. So that's going to be our x plus the width gets to here. And then y goes to there. So let's try that. That didn't start us down here like I was expecting to. I think for this first one, we don't want y plus 1.0. We want you to be y plus config dot tree branch width. Okay, there we go. So then this looks appropriate for that. We can have another rectangle, and that will just be a normal rectangle again. So we can do the polyline on the other side because that's going to be the most confusing one. And that's really going to be this same exact thing. But duplicated again. So we'll shadow points. Okay, points equals new. Now we're going to start on the other side here. So start with x plus the config dot tree trunk width minus the config dot tree branch width. Okay, so that gets us here. Then the y will just be the y. Then here we'll go x plus u, but it has to be x plus config dot tree branch tree trunk width here plus tree branch height, and then the y minus config tree branch height. Okay, so that brings us to here. Then let's remove u and duplicate u. Okay, so we're going to start at this position and subtract for x the tree branch. Okay, config dot tree branch width, and the y will be the same thing. And then I started here and I really meant to start here because we've been going out like this. So if we do start like this one, which way do I want to actually go? I started like this, so like down. It might make sense to start the same way. So if we do that one, your x is going to be just the tree branch width for the x. So no minus here. And then the y is going to be plus config dot tree branch width to get to here. Then we go here. Then we go here. And then finally, x plus tree trunk width minus config dot tree branch width. That gets us here, and then the y. Okay, and then we add in this new polyline. What is the chance that this just works? All right, not bad. Looks pretty good. And then we'll do one last rectangle in here. So we're gonna do mesh equals mesh dot rectangle. This would be a draw mode. Fill. Let's be a new rect. Okay, so for our rect here, for the X, the trees are celebrating your victory for you. I know. Okay, so for our rect, I pretty much want to start here as our X and a Y, and then we'll fill in the width and a height. So that's going to be starting from this position. So X plus the middle point of here. So that's X plus the tree config dot tree trunk width divided by 2.0. So that gives us to here minus half config dot tree branch width divided by 2. Okay, so that gets us to here. And then the y is going to be the y minus config dot tree branch height. And that gets us to here. And then our width is config dot tree branch width config dot tree branch height. And the rest of that is simple. It's just that X. And then color config dot tree trunk color. Okay. And we'll run this. And there we have our tree trunks. It's not quite the same looking. It is in the center. And so I think it's fine. We're definitely gonna want, like, our foliage that goes over it is gonna like cover most of these. So I don't actually want to ever see like the top of these. But this is looking pretty good so far. And if we want to, as our very last action, add in that random generator, sort of like get a little bit of a shift for us for the X and Y's. We have rand coming in already. So let's bring in prelude. And when we create the trees, we'll do let RNG, has to be mute RNG equals, I think it's rand thread range. Then we have our space between trees, and I want to add the offset inside of here. So that random offset equals RNG dot this gen range and a low of, I think we have this in here, shift by. Okay, so you're going to be a negative shift by. And you'll be a high shift by. And then, okay, so our X position, so space between trees, do I want to, oh, I think I'd do that in here. Do I want it to be random for each one, or is it just like a really subtle shift where I then like add plus random offset? So if we do that there, our trees, now, like when I move past screens, which I don't think it was working right now because I think we turned that off. We're just sort of looping around here. We don't see them move, but we're gonna want to tell the image system to generate the new trees, which then sets that on. But okay, I think this is good for us. So we're able to now create the trees and put them in there as a single draw. So that gives us pretty amazing savings for performance-wise. So if you're new here, I am building this to run on a Raspberry Pi 4, and while there is OpenGL ES 3.1 on the Raspberry Pi 4, it's still a light enough system that I need to like really reduce the number of draws that I'm doing. Previously, I was having each of those branches be a mesh, and then the tree trunks, and then all of the trees separately. So if I had 7 trees, I had 7 times 4, 28 mesh draws every single frame. This mixed down to no matter how many trees I have, it's always just one draw. And we can control the number of trees through our config. We could also control the size and the width and everything else there. So I think that's all good. Then I want to fix all of these warnings. All right, so not bringing in color or draw mode anymore here. Don't need mesh builder in the player draw system. Okay, you, underscore you, underscore you, underscore you, underscore you. I don't know how I brought it. Oh, I must have like done new and it Rust Analyzer brought that in because it thought that I wanted that. Okay, so what are you? Field is never read, foliage. Let's just save you. Right, because I'm not drawing anything right now. So we're slowly taking things out of the map. And we don't even need you stored in anymore. Okay. Save like that. We don't do that. Then we don't even need a center pit. We're probably going to make that and probably another thing that gets stored in image. Right, so we don't even need to draw this anymore. I mean, at this point, we don't need the map. The map's not used at all. So we can go to our main scene. If we don't need the map, you don't go in here. We don't take you in here. We don't store you away. That means that in here, we don't pass in a map. And if we don't pass in a map, we don't need to create the map. And we don't need to pull you in. And we don't need to mod this. Okay, so in main scene, now we have a bunch of, let's see, in here, right, self.map.move right. So we're not going to need any of this stuff. Like we're not going to have the map move right. We're going to have to rebuild that system and just have the main scene figure out where we are on our own. So this is in the main scene. Right, so we have all these tests now, creating the new map. So we can just remove those lines from all the tests. Basically, everywhere where we're creating this map here, you get deleted. All right, no errors anymore. Okay, so in foliage, we're not running draw, so we could completely remove you. I think I just would rather remove a reference to you right now, and then we're gonna reference that back again for the sine wave information, because I do have some ideas for that. Okay, so hit, remove you two, and tree trunks. Context. We're not using you. It's fine. Move direction. Right. So like none of this stuff is working right now. Now we have this off screen, right? So we can call those on the objects later. So I'm just not going to worry about that right now. This, however, we're just going to leave these as warnings. We need those methods. And we need this to be able to get the player out. And oh yeah, it doesn't know what polyline means. Add you. Okay. I have a dictionary for when I do writing in VS Code too. I should probably turn off for this. Well, no, because like we have README too. Okay, so that should all work. I'm gonna do a cargo test CI test. I don't want to flash everyone's faces with that. With everything else, oh, we have some not appropriate CI tests in here apparently. I don't know which ones did the flashing. We'll have to figure that out later, but that's going to cause our CI system to fail every single time because it can't actually create a context. But with everything working there, we can now go ahead and git commit. I think we have git Kraken open. Store U, and we can say that tree trunks are in a single mesh now. And I think what I want to do is add another issue here to refactor images to be assets, since images is now storing all of the storing images and meshes. All right, so the last part of this is going to be the foliage, and then we'll be done with this issue, and we'll be able to move on to the next piece. But that'll have to be next time because it is 8:39. It is 9 minutes after I normally end the stream, so we're gonna have to go. We have 34 of us, so let's go ahead and set up a raid somewhere. Nobody on the Rustations team is streaming right now. Let's see if there's anybody I know who's streaming. Okay, let's see. BeginBot is streaming. Microsoft is streaming. Oh, but they're not doing Rust. That would have been nice. Let's raid BeginBot. He's doing Go, WebSockets, and OBS development. Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up that as a raid. Wait, stop. Don't. Okay. Shoot, where's the raid? Raid, BeginBot, starts. All right, everybody. I'm gonna switch over to my ending screen. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for coming and hanging out. If you came with that raid, I am doing this stream every single weekday morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time for about an hour and a half until about 10 minutes ago usually. And we're building this Raspberry Pi game that is going to be a gift for a Christmas gift. So hopefully we'll be able to get it done in time and I'll be able to ship it out. I hope that you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Say hi to BeginBot and have a good one yourself. Bye.